I have to tell you, I was stopped by a young person in Leixlip where I live, and he said, "Were you on the telly?" When he was meaning the webinar, and he said that they thought the last week's webinar was fantastic, and his class went looking in the local park for wildlife, and they found, well, I'm not sure whether this is a good thing, but they found a fox poo and a badger hide. Now that's a good thing, isn't it? Okay, so I've got something that I want to share first, just before we get going, if you don't mind, just to tell you some of the other things we're doing. Host disabled participant screen sharing. Oh, now come on, don't do that to me. Come on, Eleanor.
I've just changed all the rules on you guys. Sorry, hold on now. Let me get my technology working. Okay, try it now, Dean. It should work.
Thank you. Perfect. Okay, share. Okay, now I just want to show you a couple of slides, just tell you what else is happening. So there's a great image of our biosphere in Dublin. Now, obviously, we've got this education series. So the first was Exploring Seashores. Last week was How to Become a Wildlife Detective. This week is Nature Arts, and next week is How to Become a Wildlife Champion. That's important because that's how we can improve our own gardens, communities and schools to make them more nature friendly. So that's a really important one. But all of these are going to be available, and they are available, those that have been shown on the Kerry Biosphere website, and you get to review them again at any time, that and the other series that we ran in March. But we are also launching in the very near future. It's going to be early June now. We've got a minister who's going to be launching this. It's a Dublin Bay Biosphere Award. This is for young people who want to take part in a 3-part program where they engage in nature, they learn about the process going on, and they take some kind of action to protect nature through awareness raising or conservation. And we're not going to restrict that to people just in the Dublin Bay area. So if you're really interested and passionate about nature and you want to learn a little bit more about the biospheres in Ireland, this could be for you. And we're also running both ourselves here in Dublin and Kerry Biosphere, and a number of other biospheres in the UK are running a young nature bloggers competition. So if you're interested in writing about nature, you can enter this competition, and we've got some fantastic prizes. So I just wanted to share that with you. And I'm going to stop sharing, and I think it's now time that we hand over to Máiread for the main event. Are you ready, Máiread? Always. Fantastic.
So some of you might be wondering, why on earth have I got a bee on my shoulder? This is Bob. Everyone say morning, Bob.
Morning, Bob.
So the reason, hands up, who knows why I have a bee on my shoulder? Oh, some of you know. Some of you know this. Look at that. I can see your hands up. Okay, so you're allowed to shout it out to your teacher. Come on. Exactly. It's World Bee Day today. Woo! So yes, we are going to be doing our nature arts and crafts, but because it was World Bee Day, I thought I can't miss this opportunity to talk about Bob and his little friends just at the very start, okay? I promise. And in the back here, I've got some resources, the pictures of bees and things like that. And teachers, I'm just going to be showing you some little resources that you can use in schools and in class, okay? So here comes the technology bit. By the way, if Bob starts falling off my shoulder or flying off, will someone please tell me? Okay, thank you very much. Right, let's get this going. I'm so glad, by the way, that some of you are back for like the 3rd week. That makes me really happy. I'm delighted. Okay. So as I said, I'm just going to do a little bit about our lovely bees at the very start because it is World Bee Day. What can you do in your school and your gardens for bees? Teachers, this poster is on pollinators.ie. And what can you do? Right, number 1. Check out the All-Ireland Pollinator Plan, and there's a junior version. 2, look around your garden and see what areas where you can leave the grass grow long, because queen bumblebees snuggle down in the long grass for wintertime. 3, plant bee-friendly flowers, fruit, herbs, all those lovely things. 4, make nesting sites for solitary bees. I'm going to show you something cool in a minute. I'll tell you how to do this. 5, do an insect count. All information on pollinators.ie. And that's just the start. There's so much you can do. This is such a great month. I love this month. You can do fun stuff. Some bee jokes. I had to put these in here, guys. What did the flower say after told a joke? I'm just pulling your leg. Okay. Where did the bees go after they got married? On their honeymoon. I mean, come on. These are good. Come on, aren't they? I'm good at telling jokes, right? I am. Why do beekeepers think everything looks beautiful? Because beauty is in the eye of the beholder. Okay, yeah, I know. My kids tell me I'm terrible at telling jokes. Look at this. I just want to show you a second. Did you know that only female bees have pollen sacks? See this here? This is a little pile of pollen that is collected by the girl bees as they go from flower to flower to flower. Isn't that amazing? And then they bring that back to the nest. A bee drinks nectar from flowers with its long tongue called a proboscis, and it actually rolls it because it's so long. Okay, I'm nearly done my bee stuff, but I had to get it in today. It is World Bee Day. Teachers, you can do this word search because you're going to have access to this presentation afterwards. So you can do this lovely bee word search with the kids afterwards. A little bit about our Irish bees. We have one honeybee. It's a wild one. It escaped from honeybee hives. We have 20 different kinds of bumblebees. How do you know what one they are? Okay, this is a little bit rude as well. You know me, I like doing rude stuff. You have to look at the color of their bottoms. This one has a white bottom. So it's the white-tailed bumblebee. That's kind of easy, isn't it? And we have 77 kinds of solitary bees in Ireland. What is a solitary bee? What are you talking about? Well, now that I've told you what they are, you're going to see them. They are the most common bees we have, and they live on their own. That's why they're called solitary. Can I show you something I found last week? And then I'll get on to the crafts, I promise. So I was out doing another project and I was helping a group do some wildlife stuff. And we were walking around and then I saw this. So first of all, it was just like a pretty awful looking flower bed. Doesn't look great, sure doesn't. And then we saw this. Look at the holes. And I went, oh, what's in there? They are the little nests made by solitary bees. They make a little nest in sloped soil facing the sun. And they were kind of in here, in the corner. And then I saw loads of these guys. The buffish mining bee, he's a solitary bee. And each one of these little guys goes in here and he's got his little larvae, little baby bees in there, and he's feeding them. And then, it wasn't finished yet, there was this big hedge and it was full of bees. And I saw this little guy. Look at the color of his bottom. He's a white-tailed bumblebee. And what are these things? Pollen sacks. So therefore, is it a boy or a girl? Exactly, it's a girl. And there was loads of these on this hedge. And then, still wasn't finished, I saw this doozer. What on earth is that? That's another kind of solitary bee. And then I saw this doozer, another kind of solitary bee. And all of these bees were all here in this kind of dead looking flower bed. Isn't it amazing? And you know what's amazing? This guy is endangered in Ireland. So we found an endangered species. How amazing is that? I thought that was really exciting. Okay, I promise I'm nearly finished with bees. I promise. What can we do for our bees? Don't mow, let it grow. Let your long grass grow. And then your lovely wildflowers will come up and your bumblebees can snuggle in here in the winter. And teachers, a lovely couple of resources that you can use, apart from pollinators.ie, which is, go there. If you can get the junior magazines of Birdwatch Ireland, this is the Junior Bird Detective magazine, or the junior magazine of the Irish Wildlife Trust, Badger Club. Oh my gosh, they're fantastic. And they give you all kinds of cool, like this is the latest one that came from the Birdwatch Ireland. And they've got really fun things, all about different kinds of birds or bees or whatever. Anyway, it's fun stuff for kids. Right, I'm going to show you a little video. And then we're making crafts. Have you all got your stuff ready? Did you bring in your jars? Did you bring in, let me see, what else were you supposed to bring in? Oh, I know. You were supposed to bring in like old pillowcases and stuff. I'll show you my table in a second. It's a mess. It's full of stuff. Before we do that, I just want to show you a really, really important Irish little video on bees. I promise I'll be done then with the bees. It's World Bee Day. I couldn't miss the opportunity. Right, are you ready for this? It's very short, I promise.
Have you ever wondered why Ireland is so beautiful? What really makes this land bloom is our pollinating insects. They pollinate our flowers, hedgerows, trees, and our bountiful crops, the quality food Ireland is famous for. Insect pollination makes an enormous contribution to the national economy, to our health and well-being, and to our environment. Pollinators also play a huge role in fueling our economy by sustaining our green image for our tourism and export markets. Pollinators are responsible for our colourful Irish landscape, and the wild seeds and fruit produced feed our wild animals and birds. And at the very heart of this vital system is the humble bee. Ireland has 99 different bee species, 1 honeybee, 21 bumblebees, and 77 solitary bee species. And it's actually our wild bees we must thank for most pollination. But unfortunately, our bees are in trouble. Since 1980, more than half of Ireland's bee species have suffered huge declines. Today, 1/3 of our 99 bee species are threatened with extinction. Why? Because bees can't find enough food. Lush green fields and manicured lawns are actually like a barren desert for bees. And they can't find safe areas to nest. We've also inadvertently introduced poisons, pests, and disease that impact their survival. For growers, a loss of pollinators means lower crop yields and reduction in quality. And for consumers, it means reduced food choices and higher prices. Without bees, Ireland would look very different. But the good news is we have a solution, and everyone can help. Since 2015, we've been working with partner organisations to implement the All-Ireland Pollinator Plan. This plan identified 81 evidence-based actions across public and private land that will create an Ireland where pollinators can survive and thrive. The aim is to create a network of pollinator-friendly habitats to bring back that food and shelter that is now missing from the landscape. If we want to help bees help us produce crops, there are a few simple things that we can do. In short, we need to stop trying to tidy up the countryside. Reduce mowing. Let dandelions and clover bloom. Allow hedgerows to flower. Reduce pesticide use. And plant pollinator-friendly plants. Bees need pollen-rich flowers in bloom from early spring right through to late autumn. We've produced a series of guidelines explaining
Okay,
how
I promise that's enough about bees. Who's ready to make some wildlife crafts? Woo, okay, here we go. Now, okay, so the first one, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to show you the picture of what we're making, and then I'm going to do it here on the table. Okay, so let me get in position. Nope, that's not, nope, no, yay. Okay, so we're going to be making nature candles. And I'm going to stop my, okay, that's going to be messy. Okay, so let me move my computer to reveal my messy table. I'm going to unplug the charger. Now I can move it around. Can you see me? Okay, let me see. Right. First thing is, I'm going to stand up. We're going to do our candles. We have an empty jar, or 2 empty jars. We have leaves. So I want you to put all these out in front of you right now. Okay. We have Pritt stick. Some of you might have PVA'd glue. I actually was doing some experimenting on this and I found that Pritt stick or glue sticks work a little bit better. A puncher of some kind. So you can have just one of these like page punchers, or you can just make holes in your leaves. using the top of your pencils maybe. I'm lucky because I have one of these fancy punchers that has different shapes in it. So, okay. First thing you're going to do, are you all ready? Have you everything out in front of you? You all set? Okay. We're going to get a leaf. And we are going to put a hole in it. Okay. So you either use your puncher, or I have my fancy puncher, which gives different shapes. So off you go and start making shapes in your leaves, or punching holes. See? I just punched that hole. So off you go.
Now, there will be some classes that haven't got all these bits and pieces together. So they're going to be listening and watching and taking tips and doing this in the days and weeks to come. I'm absolutely certain.
And on the presentation, I have different pages actually just outlining all these different steps. Okay, so I'm just going to do about 3 leaves because you'll get the picture. You get the gist then. I found when I was experimenting that the harder the leaf, the easier it was to put a hole in it, because my kids had collected some leaves for me, like these lime tree leaves. I'm going to try one anyway. It might be a bit easier to do now. Oh yeah, that's not too bad. When they were first collected, they were a bit too soft. I'll try it. Yeah, see, it doesn't really go into the puncher very well. The hard leaves are
green fleshy leaves, yeah.
Yeah, the harder
leaves
are definitely a bit easier. So like, you know, you don't even have to get, like, this actually comes from, I have a plant growing inside in my sit room, because I found that it had the best. Now, you see there, I've punched different holes in it.
No, Máiread,
yeah,
that's a really fancy puncher. I mean, where could we get one of them punchers?
Oh, like I think I got that Mr. Price. And it comes with different shapes of holes. So all you have to do is and actually all the bits fall out then, so you can use them. You can just swap it over and put it in a different shape. This shape is a squirrely shape, or I also have heart shape. Maybe I'll do hearts. And you just put that in there. Yeah, I think I got that Mr. Price. And you know, sometimes Lidl is brilliant. Actually, Lidl often sells punchers, and I've bought them there before, different shaped ones. That's a heart. I've definitely bought punchers. I don't know where they are now actually, but watch out for, you know, the way they always have those stationary bits and pieces. Okay, so I think that's enough punching for the moment. By the way, can you see this clearly? Is this okay the way I'm doing this? Is that all right?
Yeah,
all right,
fantastic.
So the next thing we're going to do is, I think before we stick the leaves on, I have a little extra thing that we're going to do. This was not on your list, don't worry about it. If you have double-sided tape, this I also got in Mr. Price. So basically, the idea with this is that it's sticky on one side, but when you peel off the back, it's sticky on the other side too. And what we're going to do with this. This is actually really nice for making Christmas decorations. So we've done this in our house. We've made jars, and we have done what I'm about to do now. So here's my jar, and I'm just going to stick on the double-sided tape. See that? So now it's stuck onto it, but the outside is sticky too. Now this is where I get really messy. And I have glitter. And I'm going to pour the glitter see? So you can make really nice shapes with your double-sided tape, and you can bring it right around. You can do a nice circle around. That's a nice thing to do. And I've gotten that glitter all over my table. Lovely. Okay, that's just like a little extra thing. That's not obviously a nature item, but it's just a nice little extra thing to do. Here's where we use our nature item. Okay, our leaves that we made our holes in, we're going to Pritt stick them onto the jar. Loads of Pritt stick, okay? Don't be afraid to use loads. One. See, it's pretty easy, isn't it? And now I'm going to go for my different shapes. They're kind of little, I don't know what you call them, splodges, splodge shapes.
I think they look like snowflakes. Maybe they're, yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
Let me go a different direction. If you put them in different directions, it kind of looks nicer then. 2. And actually, we might find the ends of some of them, like this one now, the end, you see, is not behaving itself. It's sticking out because it's got a big thick bit in the middle. So I'm actually going to cut that off. I'm going to cheat. Gone. Now, and I'm going to do one more. You can do as many as you like, you know.
So Máiread, when the children are collecting their material, obviously some of them are doing this now, some will collect them later.
Yeah.
Do you take the leaves off the ground? Can you take the leaves off the trees without any problem?
No, what I would do is don't take them off the tree. Because I always say to kids, like, it's the same with picking wildflowers. Like, as soon as you pick something, it dies. You know, like obviously it's grand if it's daisies and you're making daisy chains, that's fine because there's loads of daisies, isn't there? And that's fine. But if it's a flower where there's only a few of them around, just have a look. If there's only a few, leave it behind. And this is because our pollinators need it. And also, say with the leaves, there's loads of leaves in the ground, so use those. Okay, so you get the gist of what I'm doing. And also what you can do, and I'm going to do it here, is the bits that I cut out, I'm going to try the bits that I punched out of the center of the leaves.
They're sticking to your hand, fingers. That's a tricky job there.
Anyway, if you cut bigger bits, it's probably easier. Anyway, use them all. Okay, you can see what I'm doing. And the idea is you cover your lovely jar and you can do all your tinsely bits. And then what's a really nice thing to do is, it's the safest thing to do is to get one of these battery operated little candles. You can get them in Mr. Price or Dale Turner. See, it's turned on. You've got this at nighttime then is beautiful. So what it does is the light shines through the holes. The more leaves you put on it, the better, by the way, because then what happens is the light really just comes through the little holes that you've punched, and it's absolutely beautiful.
Look great.
Really nice.
Now I thought you were going to be using beeswax candles, you know, being bee day.
Well, yeah, no.
Not
So,
today.
and you know what? Any age can do this, really. So my 8-year-old daughter made this earlier on.
Fantastic.
And we were trying to use PVA glue with it. And actually, PVA we just found was a bit tricky. And we ended up having to clean the whole glass afterwards. So it left a kind of a gluey residue, which you can't really see. Only I can see it close up. But I think just the glue stick is easier. So the more, put loads of leaves on your jar, right? And maybe do nice shapes with the tinsel, or not the tinsel, with the glitter and with the double. This, by the way, if you do any arts and crafts, you can't live without double-sided tape. I learned this years ago. It's one of the best things you can have in the house is double-sided tape. You use it for everything, and you can use it for cheating, for folding things over and holding them together and all that kind of good stuff. So, okay, so that's really simple, isn't it, to make one of these lovely candles? And the whole idea is that you're reusing. So with recycling, I know you've all heard the recycling, but the best thing to do first is to reduce, as in try not to be using too much plastic, you know, or glass. And then the second thing is reuse. So we are reusing, instead of putting this out in the recycle bin, we're reusing, this is a pasta jar, pasta sauce, we are reusing it. And the leaves that fell on the ground, we're using them. It's only, recycling is only the last thing that we should be doing, okay? So we're reusing our glass. So that's really nice. And some of you might be doing your confirmation this year. And I don't know if there's children who are making communion. I know that's generally second class, but I know some of them didn't take place last year, so you might be doing it this year. I know you need to set up what's called a little prayer corner for just those schools that might be doing this, or a little spiritual space. and this is actually nice to do for anybody. It's lovely to have a little space, a quiet space in your room, and you can set it up with this lovely, a few of these lovely little candles, and put some nice pictures that mean something to you. It could be a photo of your dog, your cat, or the sunshine. And it's just your little corner to just go and sit and maybe read a book and put on your little candle and see the shapes of the leaves, the light coming through. So it's a really nice thing to do. Okay. Next.
So, Máiread, did you see Eleanor's design there? That's very good. I'm sure some of the children are showing you theirs as well.
What have you made?
It's very colourful.
It sure is. Now, what did you use, Eleanor?
There is a lovely, it's like a wild rose just outside my house, and the wind yesterday blew some of the petals off, so I collected up the petals. So that's what I've used around the bottom here to make it a bit more colourful.
Clever.
Oh, that is so lovely. So anything really, you know, anything that you pick up from outside, that's really nice. I like that idea, Eleanor. Thanks a million. Okay, the next thing we are going to do is we're going to make an insect hotel, okay? Bob, is he still there? Yes, okay. So this insect hotel is really easy, but it is very effective. So do you remember I showed you the picture of the solitary bees? And I showed you a picture of the little holes that I found in the flower bed? Because solitary bees, they are solitary, which means they live on their own, and they go in to, they make little holes either in the ground or in hollow wood. So that's what insect hotels are really. They're for solitary bees. So what we're going to do is we're going to make an insect hotel. Do any of you have insect hotel stuff in front of you? Some of you might. Okay. I have a video on the presentation, so you can look at that again if you don't have stuff with you now. So again, it's about reusing as much as possible. I like to reuse stuff. Okay. So an old flower pot with holes at the bottom. That's the most important thing. That has to have holes. The reason is, actually, tell me what the reason is. Why would we want to have holes at the bottom? Exactly. Exactly. You want the animals to be able to climb in and out. You want, it's like a little door. Okay. So what we're going to do, let's do this. Okay. Is we're going to be focusing not on me, but on the craft. The idea is you're creating a little refuge for insects for during the winter. Okay. And because we are keeping our gardens so tidy, there's not many places with like built, you know, loads of leaves just left hanging around and loads of twigs left hanging around and all that. So we're trying to make this for them. So when you make one of these, I want you to put it into the corner of your garden, maybe in beside a shed or in under a bush or something, and put it on its side when it's finished. I'll show you how to do it. Okay, so the idea is to pack it full of stuff, not cardboard, nothing made of cardboard. And this goes, the same thing is true when you're making a big insect hotel. Nothing cardboard. I know you're tempted to put in the rolls from toilet paper and that, don't do it. It goes very moldy when it's wet, and the mold and the fungus spreads through the insect hotel and can kill the insects. Okay, so I collected, no, I didn't. I got my children to collect for me. Unpaid, isn't it terrible? Loads of things. They went out for a walk. So the main thing I asked for was pine cones. So do you remember we were talking about pine cones last week, and we know if there's squirrels around because they're half-eaten pine cones. Well, this pine, the idea behind a pine cone is that when the seeds pop out, it kind of explodes and lets the seeds fly around the place. And these little spaces that are left in the pine cone are actually perfect for the insects to snuggle down into over the winter. So you also can collect little dry twigs. Okay, and if you have, and I didn't get any for today, unfortunately, but bits of bark that you might find just at the bottom of a tree lying on the ground, don't pull it off. So all you're going to do now, oh, and also, I bought this because my neighbour has a rabbit, but she didn't have any spare straw, so I asked her first. So I got this straw in Mr. Price. Okay. So what you're going to do Oh, watch the mess. Woo! We're going to put straw into our pot, creating a nice little layer that is cozy and warm. Straw, because it is dried out, it won't go moldy when it gets wet in the wintertime, okay? So don't buy packets of hay. You can also buy hay in pet shops or Mr. Price or Deals. I wouldn't do that because it hasn't dried out. So start by putting a layer of straw at the bottom. And then what you're going to do is you're going to pack this with your pine cones and your twigs and your sticks. So off you go, start doing that. And then put in more straw and basically make lots of layers. And by the way, there's no right or wrong way of doing this, okay? Because the idea is just you're creating a little snuggly place for insects to get into. So they're going to snuggle in into the pine cones. They're going to snuggle in underneath the twigs, the straw. And now I'm going to show you something else. So hollow stems are really important for solitary bees and insects. So when some flowers die at the end of the summer, their stems just stay in the ground, but the leaves have all gone and the petals have all gone. Leave the stems. Because they die, the center of them becomes hollow. And I'm going to show you something. So I'm going to turn this around. So don't mind the look of my kitchen. This is bamboo. And would you believe this bamboo came from Dublin Zoo? Because I know one of the keepers there, and I said to him, I said, I know there's loads of bamboo up there. Would you ever go and cut me some bamboo, please? And this is the same bamboo that they feed to the red pandas in Dublin Zoo. Isn't that cool? Okay, so bamboo is very hard. And in China, they use big, thick bamboo to make scaffolding, to stand on, to do construction projects. And at the top of the bamboo is leaves. Okay, so what I'm going to do, and quite a lot of you might have bamboo in your garden. So, or just ask somebody if you know a neighbor. I'm going to cut it. Now, this is where you're probably going to need, if you're younger, an adult's help. This is a secateurs, which is a very dangerous gardening instrument for cutting branches. So I'm going to cut a few pieces of this. Equally, if you have, and different thickness as well. If you have hollow stems in your garden, dead stems, you can use those as well.
I was just going to ask, Máiread, if you don't have bamboo, is there other things that you could use? Are there any other good sticks that work just as well?
Anything that's dead. So what I would suggest you do is keep an eye out this summer, anything that's growing in your garden. And when it dies back in the spring, tell your parents not to leave the stems, because in the garden, little insects will snuggle down in those stems over the winter. And then if you're making stuff yourself, you can cut some of the stems and use it. Any old dead stems. Okay, now I'm going to show you what I'm talking about. I want you to look. You see there's a hole in the middle? See, it's hollow. So that is just perfect for little teeny tiny solitary bees, because they're very tiny, to snuggle in there for the winter. So what you do after you've cut a few pieces, okay, I'm going to cut a few more. I'm trying to keep my hand in front of the computer. If you lose me, shout, by the way, don't be afraid to tell me. I'm going to put a few pieces, and then what's a good thing to do is to tie them together. I'm going to show you what I mean now. You can use rubber bands. Or I have some natural string. I got this in Lidl. Lidl is great for selling these kind of gardening things. It's called sisal. It's just string, but it biodegrades, so it's natural. Where's my scissors? I need an assistant here. Okay, so, oh, here we go. I'm going to tie these bits, and you see they've all got a hollow. See that? I'm going to tie them together. So I have been known to cheat. when I've made these in other schools and there hasn't been enough bamboo to go around, I have gone to this environmental warehouse. I know a lot of you teachers will know, it's called Recreate. And they often have little plastic tubes that were supposed to have been used in the medical industry and never were. And I've bought loads. No, you don't buy them, you take them for free. And even though they're not natural, they work the same way. So again, you're reusing, aren't you? Now, what's happening is I'm going to put that in here. So the idea is to keep stuffing it with all of this good stuff. Now, pretend it's all stuffed right up to the top. What you need to do next, I might put a bit more straw in. My dogs are going to love my house after this. Oh my gosh, they're going to have the best time eating all this stuff. Right, you have a chock-a-block full up the top. This is where you get your pillowcase or a bit of just an old cloth of some kind. Ideally pillowcases, because they're especially cotton if you can, because they're a natural material. And you're gonna kind of measure enough to cover the top of it. Right. So make sure you ask your parents which pillowcase you can use first. Don't be using the good Egyptian cotton pillowcases. Or an old t-shirt, that'll do too. You get the
That's a good idea.
Yeah, an old t-shirt. Okay, I'm just cutting out a big bit. You can do it properly yourselves and do a nice shape if you want.
Could you fancy that up a bit? You know, making a little design or something.
You can absolutely fancy it up as much as you like, and you can also draw on it if you have fabric paint.
Oh, good idea.
Fabric paint at home. So what you do with your piece that you've cut is you need to cut holes in it, because how is an insect going to get in and out of there? So now you need to cut holes in this. Don't cut your fingers. No responsibility, teachers. I take no responsibility. You're all well able at this stage. You're all old enough. So you don't have to do anything special. Any kind of a hole will do. See? Are you making one as well, Eleanor? Are you? Cool. Let's make a few holes. Don't make too many because you don't want it to get cold. Imagine, you know, a really, really cold days in the winter. You want it to be snuggly for these guys. Okay. And ideally, yeah, so just cover it over. And if you want, you can keep a couple of the little long bits sticking out on top. Okay, so you've got your holes. Now you can either use a big rubber band, which I'm going to do. Or you can use some twine or whatever you have, doesn't matter. Bit of wool if you have wool. Now, very basic. But if you imagine your little insect, now we can probably make another couple of holes in the top. Always cut away from your face, guys. Okay. So if you imagine you're an insect, you're going to put this lying on its side. You can enter either from the bottom or the top. It is very cozy. It is full of little spaces for a little insect and a little solitary bee to snuggle down in for the winter. So there's a couple of things. Put it on its side and put it in the corner of your garden, under a bush, beside a shed or something. In, let me see, in March of next year, I want you to take a peek, because people put these in and they forget to have them. This is where you learn what's in your garden. So open it up gently next March and gently root around it and have a look in your hollow stems. And I bet you, because this has happened to me all the time, you're going to have little insects living inside your insect hotel. Isn't that nice? It's very easy. Okay, how are we doing for time? Are we okay? We're 15 minutes. Oh, you did it! Look at that! That's super. Well done, Eleanor. And I like your colours. And again, you can use some nice fabric paint if you want to. And you can get fabric paint sprays. Again, Lidl and Deals sell this stuff all the time. Nearly everything I get comes from Lidl and Deals. Okay, what is next? So I'm not going to go in huge detail for the other things because it takes too long, but I just want to show you what the items that are needed. I'm going to just show you the picture And then I have the items here. So hold on a second. Okay, we've done the nature candles, and especially at night time. Do you see the way they're using? They've used. Do you see in this picture? They use. Oh, for goodness sakes, Marie, seriously, come back. Okay. Do you see the bits that they cut out? Do you see they punched those out and they stuck those on? So actually, if you have a cotton bud, that's what you use. Use a cotton bud to put some Pritt stick on a cotton bud, and that way you can pick up the bits that you've punched out and you can stick it on the glass. And at night time, it's gorgeous. It's really lovely. Okay. And there, that's what you need. And that's your insect hotel. And there's your 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So teachers, all this information is there for you. Dream catcher. So because this takes a bit of time to make, I'm not going to make it, but I'm just going to show you the bits and pieces here. So there's different kinds of, yeah, sorry,
so,
go ahead.
Right, I was just going to say, all this information, this presentation is going to be shared with the teachers. Eleanor's going to share all these information and how to do these things. So there'll be simple guides to follow after this. So make things a lot easier for you guys. So, perfect.
I'm actually going to take, I forgot I have it on my chair. I'm going to get something which is on my chair. One sec.
So Eleanor, can we have a look at your pot again? Have you got it to hand?
Yeah, hold on 1 second. Sorry, I'll just change the, so everyone can see me. There's my little pot. My pillowcase had brown dots all over it, so I thought it would look really camouflaged in the garden. It's much smaller than Máiread's pot as well, so I didn't need as much stuff to fill it up.
It doesn't matter. It actually doesn't matter. It's whatever you have. And I know
doesn't have to be a big pot.
Stuff thrown around behind your shed somewhere. Okay, so these dream catchers, you're using a paper plate. Again, you need your hole puncher, a normal hole puncher this time. And it's very simple idea. So what you do, you start off, number one, you cut a hole, and I started this already, out of the center. And if you want to keep the bit that you cut out, because you can make shapes out of that, you see the way they did a heart there, okay? So you can, when you cut out your center, color this in now if you want to. You can either paint it or you can use markers or whatever you want. So this is the time to do it, is at the very start. And then you get your puncher and you just punch your holes. See? Around the edge, like that. Okay, just kind of going through quickly. And maybe at the bottom, actually, at the very bottom, do a few holes close together. Make that your bottom. See, there's a few of them close together. And what you do next is you start threading your wool. Okay, you can have 1, 2, or 3 colors. Kind of the easiest thing is to do them all at one time. So cut a big long piece. Wool, that's the green one. And cut a big long piece of this purple one. Now, put the two of them together. Okay. And decide which is the front or back of your dream catcher. I'm going to choose, do you see the way it's got that kind of a shape? It's a concave shape, teachers, you know what that means. So I'm going to choose the front of it as the flat side. So therefore I'm going to thread from the back. I'm not going to do a whole dream catcher now, but I'm just going to start it off so you see what I'm doing. And the best thing to do is probably to do a big knot at the back and also tape it in place. You don't want this to be raveling. So I've done a kind of a big knot at the back and I'm going to tape it in place. And if you notice, I'm not using my mouth to cut it because of COVID. We should not be putting our mouths on anything, spreading germs. Okay. So just going to see the knot at the back. I'm just going to tape it down. So that's nice and secure. Okay, so what you do then is you start threading through the different holes over and back and zig and zag, whichever pattern you want. And if you want, you can, the bit that you cut out, you can have made into shape. You might need a second person to help you to hold it in place to start. Okay, this is the trickiest bit and it takes a minute, but it really doesn't matter what it looks like, to be honest, because when it's finished, it's going to be lovely. So you keep zigzagging over and back, okay? And what you have then is you have this here, okay, this kind of effect. What you do next is, if you want to be very fancy, at the bottom, do you remember I did extra holes at the bottom? Okay, so you're going to cut a few more extra pieces of wool. So I'm going to use 2 pieces again together. I'm going to thread them in at the back of the three or four holes at the bottom. It's really not a difficult one to do. It just takes a bit of time. And for the purpose of just now, I'm just actually going to tape it in place. Okay, so you've got, I'm going to cut this, pretend that's not there. Okay, so you've got bits hanging down. If you've beads, now's the time to put some beads on. Now, a little trick is make a shoelace kind of effect out of the wool to make it easier to thread through. So get a bit of tape, right? And wrap it around the end of your wool.
So whilst you're doing that, Máiread, we had a question come through about the earlier design.
Yeah.
If you used a normal candle in the glass jar, would that melt the glue? If you're using the Pritt stick or the PVA?
No, I don't think so. No, I don't think it would. I don't think it would. No, I think you're grand for that. The only problem is getting a real candle into the jar can be tricky. So you have to, like, if you put the real candle in, here's the jar with the candle. Let's say that's a real candle. Then you're going to have to somehow light it. And you need a really super, super long match to light it. Or otherwise, you have to light it before you put it in and then somehow drop it in without burning your fingers and without it extinguishing itself. So it's just a little trickier. It's just a little trickier with a real candle. Okay, so back to our dream catcher. You've got the dangly bit at the end, and I've kind of made a shoelace at the end of it. Do you see that? By wrapping tape. And then I'm going to put, that goes easily through the bead. Do you see that? And what you do, so you've got a nice bead hanging down. In order for the bead not to keep sliding down and up, put a knot under it, and it kind of holds the bead in place. Right? Okay, so you do loads of those, and then so out of each of the bottom holes that you've done, and then at the very bottom, the bit that's hanging down, you can use a real feather. I don't have a real feather with me, but do gather some real feathers. You get some lovely colours. This is a craft feather, and the idea is just basically to thread. You can this through it or around it.
So, Máiread, I just want to say that if any of the classes are doing any of these little projects, if they want to send pictures, I mean, Eleanor's sending them her email address, but if anyone wants to send pictures to info@dublinbaybiosphere.ie, info@dublinbaybiosphere.ie, we will share them in our e-zine, so our e-newsletter, and we will put some of the images on our website. So you get to be a little bit famous on our website if that's something you want to share with everyone. I'd love to see them, to be honest.
Yeah. Now, what I did there was I literally just tied the string or the wool around the end of the feather, and I'm going to hide the bit that I don't want to see. Cutting it off. So now we have our bead. Now you can put loads of beads along it, by the way, and we have our feather at the end of it. So do you see kind of the gist of how you do it. And then at the end, you have this beautiful, I'm just trying to move my face out of the way. Okay, these were using all artificial feathers, but the idea is that you go out and you collect nice feathers and use your beads. Now, here's the thing. If you want to collect some like beech nuts or pine cones, but you'll need to get a bit of help from someone in your house to put a hole through them. You might need a drill. But if you have that, it'd be really nice. Then it'd be a completely natural dream catcher. Now, do you know, by the way, what dream catchers do? Sorry, Bob. What dream catchers do is you hang them in your window, in your bedroom, and they catch any bad dreams before they come into your room. So you don't have bad dreams. And I do believe in that. This is another one that I made beforehand, which is a bit different. You need to get something like willow, which is very soft and easy to bend. Okay, if you have any willow trees around, and you just bend it so that it overlaps, and then you basically lash. If any of you are in cubs or beavers or scouts, you'll know what a square lashing is. You will lash your wool around this to hold it in place, and then you kind of just wind your wool around, and you can attach beads or shells or anything, and feathers at the end. So this is another version using nature items. How are we doing for time? 2 minutes left. Okay, nearly done. This is pretty obvious. Don't have to just explain it too much. It's actually lovely. And I don't know if you've noticed, but some of the tidy towns groups around the country are getting children to paint big stones, and they're putting them in public places under trees with little messages or little faces on them, and it's really nice. So all you need is a smooth stone. It needs to be very smooth, and then paint it whatever way you want. So you can follow these images as guides. I thought the cactus was cute. I know we don't have cactus in Ireland, but I thought it was kind of cute. And these are what you need. And then the last thing is painted shells. And the reason I included this is my daughters have done this, and they have set up a table outside the house and sold them and sent the money to the DFPCA or to any charity they like. And it's actually a lovely thing to do.
And show that previous slide again quickly, Marie. Just the one with the what you need for the stones. That one.
Yeah.
Imagination, check. Paint, smooth stones, that's important. Yeah. Paint brushes, glass of water to clean brushes, and tissue to dab paint brushes on. Okay, fantastic. Good stuff.
It's really super easy. Now they'll probably need a couple of coats, is what I would suggest. And actually, it mightn't be a bad idea to do a base coat first, all white, maybe first, or all yellow, just to do one big base coat, and then off you go painting whatever you want on top of it. So I'm going to show you the craft shells. Oh my knees, I'm getting old. Oh my God. Right. So this is actually, can you hear me talking?
I can hear you.
My daughter is actually doing this at the moment, the project she's doing. So I thought I would steal her project.
I really like the idea of painting these and selling them and raising money for some nature charity or other.
Nice.
That's clever.
Isn't it lovely? Yeah, or Birdwatch Ireland. Okay, so she has a mat. Because as a mammy, I insist on, you have to put a mat down before you start painting. Okay, so she's got some kind of a mat. We have shells, which we have collected on various days out. So like normal shells, that's a cockle shell. Remember we talked about shells from the very first day? Clam shell, lovely. Okay.
Right, so, you've still got your slide up, and they want to see you big. So can you?
No, that's okay. I think I fixed that as well.
Yeah, I need to stop sharing. Oh my goodness! Thank you so much.
If you stop sharing, we can see you big.
Is that? Am I big?
Yeah, you're big.
Thank you for reminding me. Okay, so instructions from my daughter were: you just start by painting a base coat.
So paint the shell white, okay, or yellow,
and
or grey.
We use acrylic paint. Okay, and then you do what you want. So she uses marker here, nice glittery marker, or we've used paint, whatever design you want. But then the bit that really finishes it nicely is this stuff here, and I spelt it wrong on the slide. I'm going to have to correct the spelling. Can you see that?
Mod Podge.
Now, we had bought that in Hickey's fabric shop before, and we use this all the time in our house. It's a lovely thing, no matter what you're painting. If you're, let's say, making a photo frame and you want to change the color of it, and you paint it, put a layer of Mod Podge over it. It gives a lovely shine. And not only does it give a lovely shine, do you see the shine there? So that has a layer of Mod Podge, or this one has a layer of Mod Podge. See that? It also protects the design that you have drawn. It kind of holds it in place. So that gives it a nice finish. So these have not been Mod Podged yet. They will be Mod Podged.
Okay, good stuff.
Yes, so that seems to be the trick. So that's a really nice thing, and it's a lovely little. It's a really nice thing to do to give little birthday presents as well, to your granny or anyone really. So there's that.
Very good.
I think we're finishing now, but what I want to do is, hold on a minute, share screen. Oh yeah, we are done.
No. It's okay. We can go over a little bit, but there's a few questions that have come through. Just want to run these by you whilst you're showing the other things.
I'm done. The main thing I wanted to say is it's fine to get messy. Just if you're doing it at home, put something on the table first.
Yeah,
because
keep it.
if you're mammy like me, I'll just say put a mat down or something, and then go for it. Enjoy.
So we've got a few questions, all from Rosemary. Would putting the leaves on the inside of the jar work too, as well as on the outside?
Yes.
Wouldn't matter if you're using one of those fake candles.
Yeah, I don't see why it wouldn't.
And
I
can
think
you use?
it'd be kind of easier to put them on the outside, but yeah, give it a go.
Yeah. And can you use flowers? So Eleanor used flowers, but I mean, obviously these things might deteriorate over time.
That's the thing, you see. You can use flowers, but I would dry them first, and you can dry them between 2 layers of newspaper.
Okay.
And then you could give it a go. I
would
would feel that maybe they might disintegrate a bit, but again, look, it's all about experimenting, and it doesn't matter if they break because it'll still look really pretty.
Okay. And finally, can you use compost instead of straw for your insect hotels?
I wouldn't.
No.
Because it will be a medium for growth of stuff that we don't want. So compost can also bring in things that you don't realize are in it.
Yeah.
So it can bring in insects that we don't know are there that might munch and kill the insects that we want to protect. So I would not put in compost, no.
Okay, so I've shared the email address for the Biosphere in the chat, info@dublinbaybiosphere.ie. I really want to see some of the images so that we can, like I say, put it up on our website, share it on social media, put it in our e-zine, and basically show off your fantastic work. That'd be amazing. Next week, Máiread, this is the big one for me. This is what it's all about. Can you tell us a little about what we're going to be experiencing next week?
Okay, so far we have talked about seashores in the first webinar, and then the last week it was like the wildlife tracks and trails, which is fine, which is, you know, trying to see what's out there. This week was all about using what's out there. What we really want to do is to conserve and protect our wildlife. And there are some really practical and easy things that we can do, even as children, in our gardens, in our schools, that don't cost money, that will absolutely help frogs, hedgehogs, birds, bees, lots of animals. So we are going to go through some of those things that you can do in your school or in your garden at home. And I would say, teachers, an amazing resource is pollinators.ie, because and there is actually a booklet called Gardening for Biodiversity. Just Google that, Gardening for Biodiversity. It is brand new. It only came out this year, and it's really fun. It's got lovely art in it, and it's lovely things that you can do in your garden. And you can download it. Okay, it's a PDF. So just Google Gardening for Biodiversity. It's written by Juanita Brown, who was in my class in college, and who's a great girl. And she's now helping with the Pollinator plan, but she's really good at art and all that good stuff. So really nice things. So maybe you can download Gardening for Biodiversity and have a little look at that as well, and just have it maybe have a read through it even before next week, if you want.
Fantastic. Okay, so that's exciting. Really looking forward to that, Máiread. So we're going to be signing off now. But before we go, we want to just wish everyone a very happy Bee Day next week.
Bye, everybody.
Slán.
Bye.
Bye,
Enjoy your
everyone.
class. Take care.